I hate it.
Game number 3 here. Elsik on your left, Sukenik on your right. Ironworks combo against Jeskai Control. Let's zoom in. We'll update you here on the battlefield. I'll start with Jonathan as it is his turn. He's got to search for his Kanta. It looks like with 5 cards in the graveyard, he'll resolve this trigger. Couple of lands over there, among them Celestial Colonnade. And then, of course, a Snapcaster Mage. He's going to put a Path to Exile into his graveyard. Sukenik with a couple of cards in hand, among them a Cryptic Command and a Path to Exile. 5 lands on the battlefield here for John as he attacks him with Snapcaster Mage. Going to bring Elsik down to 9. For Elsik, I see not 1 but 2 copies of Defense Grid, a Buried Ruin, a Mox Opal, Darksteel Citadel, a couple of Grove of the Burn Willows as well, so he could be preparing to go off here any moment.
Yeah, I have no idea how. I mean, if Sukenik has no defense right now, 2 copies of Defense Grid, the shields are down. If Zach just untaps and is able to land a Clark Hunt Ironworks and have any sort of momentum, which, you know, looks like he has a Buried Ruin in play already, so he could get back something like Chromatic Star, a Scrap Trawler if he has it.
It looks like Sukenik is going to Cryptic Command on the main phase to bounce a Darksteel Citadel. Wants to keep Zach off of some amount of mana, but those Cryptic Commands aren't getting any better, so he's just going to cast it now, play a land, and pass the turn back.
I haven't seen Defense Grid out of the sideboard of these Ironworks decks. It just seems like an insanely good card against Jeskai.
Well, if Jeskai is going to be popular here this weekend, which we predict it will be, we know that Jeskai is very popular here on the SCG Tour, given the players that we did mention, Sukenik among them. The Defense Grid can be a very useful option. Defense Grid, of course, 2 copies here in Elsik's sideboard, so he's found them both, and now he's got a Karkland Ironworks. A very powerful incoming from 5th Dawn, sacrifice an artifact, add 2 to your mana pool, 2 colorless, and he will add a little mana here from Mox Opal.
So Sukenik has a negate in hand. He has lethal on the battlefield with Snapcaster plus Celestial Colonnade. Zach has to go for it this turn, but he has to be very careful to try to leave at least 1 Defense Grid in play.
Got it, got it. Because if he doesn't, then the negate will get turned on. This will be interesting if that actually works itself into the equation.
It's possible he doesn't even care about the negate at this point. You know, his main combo cards being Mirror Retriever, Scrap Trawler, not affected by negate.
Elsik going to be looking for some colorless mana here. You see the die that's been placed on top of Ironworks. There's your colorless counter for our viewers at home. He's going to play a Pyrite Spellbomb. That'll bring him down to 2 colorless mana. I will do my very best to keep up, of course, as there's a Darksteel Citadel, the land for the turn. And now this will be a Mox Opal. How deep can Elsik go? As he's got 2 colorless and a green mana floating.
I'm not sure he actually has it. This deck plays out very quickly once it has the combo going. Here I think he's trying to think, should I go for it with drawing a card off Spellbomb just to try to get lucky, or should I use it to kill a Snapcaster Mage, which prevents him from dying next turn to the Celestial Colonnade?
You get him an extra turn, potentially find it then. That is a little bit risky.
Yeah, he's still dead to land plus burn spell, since Celestial Colonnade doesn't tap for red mana, but it has Vigilance. If he's able to find an untapped land, he could cast something like Lightning Helix, for example.
Elsik makes a creative play to conclude his turn, which he's going to Nature's Claim his Darksteel Citadel, which means he won't lose it. The land is indestructible, of course, but he will gain 4 life and bring himself up to 10.
That's so smart.
So he's got a little bit of breathing room here now, as Sukenik's going to find a Steam Vents with his fetch land.
I probably would have targeted a Defense Grid. I would have forgotten that Darksteel Citadel is indestructible.
Yeah. Elsik with these wacky decks, of course, Grand Prix champion in Oklahoma City with Lantern. And this wacky deck here in Ironworks combo very much in his play space as we'll head back over to Sukenik. He'll take a look at the top card with search for his Kanta. John, looking at that negate, as you did mention, Todd, also has a copy of Path to Exile in hand. Ideally, that would be able to take care of a Scrap Trawler. That seems very unlikely in this particular game.
Yeah, that 4 life going to be fairly important for Zach. It basically buys him 2 turns, especially if he wants to use the Spellbomb on the Snapcaster Mage. Sukenik is then forced to just attack with Colonnade 3 times. He has no defense through the defense grids. Wow. Sukenik not attacking the Colonnade here. I guess banking on the Sunken Ruin Escanta to find him a way out of this mess.
Well, Sukenik has done something that will help us here in the booth, but also probably help you at home. Look at the way he's organized his lands. By playing the Hollow Fountain untapped, negate, plus 6 additional mana, means he can cast it through not 1, but 2 copies of Defense Grid. And if he doesn't attack with a Colonnade, that means that he can, of course, activate Escanta, which we're going to see him do right now, and actually still be able to cast negate. So he very astutely left that Hollow Fountain on top of the deck with the search for Escanta to be able to cast negate. Now Sukenik might just be on the hunt for burn spells. He picked up a copy of the Lightning Bolt, or at least he's looking at one.
So if he shows Zach the Lightning Bolt here off Escanta, Pyro Spellbomb going at Snapcaster Mage 100%. If he takes damage from the Snapcaster Mage, he's dead to double burn spell. If Sukenik fires up the Colonnade and attacks with that plus Snapcaster Mage, he's forced to kill the Snapcaster Mage because the damage from Bolt would threaten lethal.
And there is the Pirate Spellbound to take care of the Snapcaster Mage. Elsik wants to keep his life total above 8. One card that, do my eyes deceive me, Todd? I know you got Sukenik's deck list in front of you. Is that a Flash Freeze in the sideboard?
Yes.
Okay.
Wow, nice. Effectively just countering Ancient Stirrings.
Okay.
Most of the cards are colorless. There are a few sideboard cards like...
There's Gear Power Aether Grid?
Oh, that's gas.
Jeez.
Yeah. That card is very good in this matchup.
There is Flash Freeze. Counter target red or green spell. Wow.
If I'm Sukenik, I'm 100% attacking with Colonnade the previous turn. It's so hard for this Ironworks combo deck to combo off with one card in hand. You really need to get things going, but Ichor Wellspring is one of the cards that gets it going.
That is one of the cards that can do it, and Elsik has found one. Logic Knot with Defense Grid. I think those players are having that conversation back and forth of, can I delve past Defense Grid, making it cost 3 or more?
Well, it's going to cost you 6 to cast another spell, so who cares?
Yeah, it's going to be an expensive one.
I think he should use the Negate, though. There is a chance that Elsik actually just sacrifices some mana or some artifacts to pay for the Wellspring here.
Sure. That's a very good point, too.
So assuming Logic Knot costs 8 to cast here. Minimum. He has to delve at least 6 cards to make it X equals 0, effectively.
Yeah, Sukenik's just going to go with the Negate.
Now if I'm Sukenik, untap, attack for 4, cross your fingers.
Okay. Serum Vision's the draw. Will Sukenik go for that? He'll start with the Serum Visions. I think he may have found a copy of Engineer Explosives. He did.
Yeah, that's a nice one. That actually puts him in a pickle. So now he can play the Explosives for 2, pop it. That'll leave Elsik with just Ironworks Opal Citadel.
Yep.
1 card in hand versus the Logic Knot from Sukenik. And, you know, a few removal spells, I suppose, for something like Mirror Retriever.
Interesting here. So now, does he want to use the EE to blow up the grids and turn on the Knot, like you mentioned, which that seems hard to pass up?
Yeah, but a 2-turn clock. You know, Sukenik, I don't know what the correct play here is. I'm going to defer to him at this juncture just because, you know, he's probably played this matchup a few times. You know, this is not a fairly common matchup to be faced against Ironworks combo.
Yep.
It got a little more popular after it won the Grand Prix in the hands of Matt Nass. But I have not played against this deck more than once or twice. So it's a really tough spot.
All right, boom goes the Dynamite.
You know, next turn he can actually attack with Colonnade and unlock the Logic Knot as well.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I like starting to attack the next turn.
Oh, Vendilion Click is nice too. So now we take a look, and that is going to get the job done. Click in combination with Colonnade and maybe a burn spell. Elsik immediately extends the hand as Jonathan Sukenik is going to win this match here over Zach Elsik.